Rayquaza is the Botsar legendary for Pokemon Emerald, and as such, he has insane stats, even for a legendary Pokemon, boasting an incredible 150 attack and special attack, alongside the rare Dragon typing and an ability that negates every weather effect. But could he beat every single Pokemon in Emerald if they had their best competitive moveset? Let's find out! To start off, this is the Rayquaza that I'll be using. He currently only knows Dragon Dance, Extreme Speed, Dragon Claw, and Ancient Power. I know it's a bit of a weird moveset, but this is only based around the ones he learns via level up. I wanted to start using only those just to see how far Rayquaza could get with that limitation. Now, as for how I'm going to be facing off against each Pokemon, I modified Pokemon Emerald to turn it into a gauntlet, where each room I go into represents a tier of competitive battling, going from the strongest in Ubers, where there's the broken legendaries like Groudon, Kyogre, and Rayquaza, all the way to the lowest tier that exists right now, which is SU or Sub-Zero used, with Pokemon like Dustots, Nosepass, and Spinda. I also added some lower tiers that I personally made to differentiate the Pokemon that are even weaker. And what better way to represent that than the first room, which is composed of the weakest of the weakest. Wurmple, Silcoon, Cascoon, Magikarp, Vivas, Beldum, Wynaut, and Wobbuffet. Rayquaza obviously had no problem against them, with the only ones that could have been an issue being Wynaut and Wobbuffet. But since their whole gimmick was to use counter and mirror codes, as long as I used Dragon Dance to get Rayquaza's attack to the mat, I was never going to be in any danger. Things then went pretty smoothly from the second to the 6th room, defeating 91 Pokemon in the way and only having to restart on 3 occasions, with one being because of getting insanely unlucky against a Nosepass. Yes, I know, not my proudest moment. Who paralyzed me and then made me flinch 3 consecutive times, not even giving me the chance to attack. Another one being an Illumise that did insanely high damage with Ice Punch, got a speed boost from her Salak Berry, and then defeated me because she outsped and I forgot I had Extreme Speed. And the last one being a Lilip that stole me with Toxic. I couldn't get past that last one with what I had, since he could stall me out of Dragon Claws and resisted the rest of my moves. So here's what I did. Each time Rayquaza faces a roadblock, I'm going to be giving him an extra tool that would give him a way of getting out. Because Lilip's only strategy is using Toxic, I gave Rayquaza a Lone Berry to heal the poison, and that ended up working great. However, there's one more thing that I need to mention about Rayquaza that I realized while cleaning out the rooms, and that's that his defenses are god-awful. Now, I'm not talking about that in terms of stats. No, those are actually pretty decent for a legendary. But I'm talking in terms of typing. Dragon Flying has only 3 weaknesses. The Dragon one doesn't really matter, but the ones against Rock, and especially the 4 times weakness against Ice, are devastating. Ice is easily one of the best offensive typings in the game, and if a special attacker can learn a move of that typing, it's going to have it in its moveset. Proof of the weakness is the Illumise defeat, a Love Disc that got Rayquaza to half with Ice Beam, and a Spheal that almost one-shot him with Ice Beam as well. I'll repeat it in case you missed it. A Love Disc got Rayquaza to half HP, and a Spheal almost O-code him. Rayquaza has an extremely diverse move pool, so I could easily teach him a super effective move against whatever he's facing off against. But that's not going to matter if I run into a strong water type with Ice Beam that's faster than me. One quick note, those of you who are watching the video might have noticed that some Pokemon use Hidden Power, but the move is named weirdly. That's because I can't fully modify every IV on the trainers, so Hidden Power isn't replicable. Because of that, I had to modify the game and make the moves myself. I know it's not that relevant for the video, but I thought I should clear that out in case anyone was wondering. In the 7th room out of 13, or the one representing the poorly used tier, not much really happened. There's still 2 fights that I want to highlight though. The first one is the one against Shedinja. I know some people are going to be curious about how that one went because of Wonder Guard, and with access to Ancient Power, it was an easy one-hit KO. The second one was the one against Celio, and the Ice weakness shows itself again. I had to restart once because he landed a critical hit and just one-shot Rayquaza with Ice Beam. Then on the second attempt against him, his attack brought Rayquaza to a sliver of HP and then froze him. Thankfully, I had the Lone Berry to heal it and then defeat him, but that could have been a disaster. things start getting a bit more tough in the 8th room, as a lot of the Pokemon I'm facing off against are becoming 2-shots, with some of them even having ice moves that threaten Rayquaza, like Pelipper or Huntail. The Lumberry that I got for Lilip really helped me in many of those fights, but there were 3 that took a while to get past. The one that took the most amount of restarts, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, but it was Blustle. He was a speed tie against Rayquaza and easily got a 2-hit KO with Hidden Power Ice. He wasn't that difficult to defeat, as I just needed to go for Dragon Claw and then Extreme Speed. But between Blustle getting crits and me trying different strategies, it took me a total of 5 restarts to defeat a single Blustle. Next was Wailord, and he was extremely bulky. Thanks to his leftovers, he could easily take 3 of my attacks while defeating me with 2 Ice Beams. The recovery made Wailord land outside of being a 2-hit KO range, and while I could have tried with an Omnibus from Ancient Power, I decided that the best move was to just replace Dragon Dance for Thunderbolt, which quickly took care of Wailord. Lastly, there was Whiscash, and he was a pretty similar case to Wailord, with the difference being that he looked to be a bit less tanky while having an immunity to Electric. I thought of replacing Dragon Claw for Outrage, but instead, I decided to equip Rayquaza with the Dragon Fang to increase the damage from his Dragon moves by 10%, and that gave him the extra firepower needed to defeat Whiscash. I really do not like how much I'm struggling when there's still 5 rooms left. In the rarely used room, it actually went better than the last few. There were fewer Pokemon with ice moves, and the ones that had them went down fast. Only 3 of them got close. Manectric outsped Rayquaza and had Hidden Power Ice, while also paralyzing Rayquaza with Static. But the Lumberry handled the paralysis and Extreme Speed finished him off. Raichu also had Hidden Power Ice and was significantly bulkier, but was defeated thanks to him leading with Thunder Wave instead of using the super effective move. Lastly, Panet was also decently bulky, hit somewhat hard with Shadow Ball, and had a Salak Berry to increase his speed. I almost threw that one by not healing beforehand, but Dragon Claw ended up saving me. There was one exception to what I said before though, and that was Glalie. Dragon Claw and Ancient Power were not doing enough damage to get the one-shot. Meanwhile, Glalie's Ice Beam was a clean one-shot on Rayquaza. I tried for a while to see if it was a range, but it wasn't. I could wait for the Omni Boost, but instead, I decided to replace Ancient Power for Flamethrower, alongside equipping Rayquaza with the Charcoal to boost its power. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough. At best, it was leaving Glalie on a sliver of HP, and even after 5 attempts, it wasn't looking like a range either. Well, no other choice. Fire Blast it is, and on the first attempt, it did enough damage for the one-shot. Next was the underused room, and it was practically the same as the last one. 2 Pokemon that slowed me down, and one that took a bit more time. Surprisingly, the 2 Pokemon that took a few restarts were both Lunatone and Solrock, with Lunatone hitting incredibly hard with Ice Beam, even more so if he got a Coal Mine boost, and Solrock getting a crit Rock Slide for the one-shot. Dragon Claw was obviously not working, and the other moves I had didn't help me, so instead of trying to get a status condition or a crit, I dropped Fire Blast and taught Rayquaza Iron Tail. It doesn't have the best accuracy, only 75%, but it's super effective and has 100 base power, which made it the perfect move to one-shot both Lunatone and Solrock. As for the one that took more work, it was Walrein. As you can imagine, he was super bulky and got an easy one-shot with his Stab Ice Beam. Thunderbolt was doing about 2/3 of his HP, so I knew that the Magnet boost wasn't going to be enough. Instead, I went and taught Rayquaza Thunder in place of Thunderbolt, which still wasn't enough. Weirdly though, when I went and equipped Rayquaza with the Magnet, it suddenly did enough damage to get a one-shot. Guess I got a low roll on the previous attempt, followed by a high roll on this one. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe, as I'm going to be doing this for a lot more Pokemon and that really helps me grow. The 11th room was after, and I cannot believe how lucky I got in there. There were so many fights that I shouldn't have won. For example, Slaking went for Shadow Ball instead of Frustration, which wouldn't have made that much of a difference in the result of the fights, but why? Then Armaldo, Donphan, and Rhydon missed their rock move against me, which would have probably been a one-shot against Rayquaza. And lastly, Regirock got hit by a crit Dragon Claw, lived, and then went for Curse instead of attacking. The only exception to how lucky I was Sceptile. He was faster and hit like a truck with hidden power ice, easily winning. The solution was simple though, just replace Iron Tail for Flamethrower, and that allows Rayquaza to get a 2-shot with the move and extreme speed. Oh, and before moving on, against Registeel, because he kept going for Thunder Wave when I had the Long Berry, it was easy to defeat with Flamethrower. Lastly, before going into the final room with the broken legendaries, is the overused one, and this is where things got real. There were still some Pokemon that were easily defeated, like Salamence with a single Dragon Claw, Metagross with 2 Earthquakes, or Milotic who kept spamming Recover and healing with the leftovers while being constantly hit by Thunderbolt. As for the ones that took some restarts, they were Swampert, Claydol, Regice, and Jirachi. Let's start with the easier ones. Jirachi was hitting pretty hard with Psychic, but I only lost because I didn't have any super effective move against him, so as soon as I taught Rayquaza Earthquake, it was fine. Claydol took a restart thanks to being able to tank 2 Dragon Claws while easily 2-shotting Rayquaza with Ice Beam. Thankfully, just equipping the Dragon Fang was enough to defeat him. Swampert is where things got tricky. As similar to Claydol, he could tank 2 Dragon Claws easily while also hitting incredibly hard with Ice Beam. The Dragon Fang didn't help me this time, so I thought of trying the Choice Band to get a 50% increase in power to Rayquaza's extreme speed, but that also didn't work. I was then going to try Choice Banded Earthquakes, but I accidentally went for extreme speed on the next attempt, and with the Choice Band locking you into the move, I had no choice but to watch the wrong move being used. However, thanks to getting a crit, I was able to defeat Swampert. I'm pretty sure Earthquake would have been fine, but hey, I'll take it. Finally, Regice. None of my attacks were getting a 1-shot against him, while his Ice Beam deletes Rayquaza. I tried Choice Banded Earthquake, Charcoal Boosted Fire Blast, Charcoal Boosted Overheat, Choice Banded Brick Break, and nothing worked. I even tried Rock Slide, which is exclusive to a move tutored in Fire Red, and it didn't work. The only solution I saw was to keep trying with Rock Slide and hope to get a flinch. And then, on one attempt, for some reason, the Rock Slide ended up getting a 1-shot. It must have been a very small range to defeat him, but with that, Regice was down, and so was every single Pokemon before getting into the super strong legendaries. Now let's see how Rayquaza does against them. Last room, the Uber Pokemon. Only 6 Pokemon left, the Lati Twins, the Weather Trio, and the Otzi Speed. I started with Latias since she was the closest to the entrance, and this was a brutal fight. She outsped Rayquaza and instantly defeated me with Ice Beam. I gave it a couple of tries to see if it was a range, but it wasn't. The only thing that I could think of was using the Quick Claw to get the priority, and even that didn't work, as my Dragon Claw did only half of her HP. Shocked to see the first wall that Rayquaza was facing, I also tried Latios to see if it was the same situation. And while he was using Dragon Claw instead of Ice Beam, he was still outspeeding and one-shotting Rayquaza, only taking slightly more damage from my attack when using the Quick Claw. I could try and hope to get a crit alongside the Quick Claw, but that has such a low chance of happening that it's not even worth it. It's a rough start to the final room, but I'll have to say that the Lati Twins are impossible for Rayquaza to defeat. I then tried Kyogre, and thanks to Rayquaza's ability, the rain that the opponent sets up doesn't have any effect. My Thunderbolt was doing pretty good damage against him as he went for Calm Mind. I was fearing an Ice Beam coming up, but when I got him to the red with another attack, he just went for another Calm Mind, which allowed Rayquaza to finish him off. He got way too greedy. Against Groudon, he was faster and set up a Sword Stance, while my Ice Beam was doing massive damage against him. I feared a Rock Slide, but instead he went for Hidden Power Ghost, which didn't do much damage as he fainted to another Ice Beam. Guess he didn't have rock coverage. Next was the Otzi Speed. Yes, I know he looks like the normal version, but it's the speed version, trust me. And as he went for Calm Mind, Dragon Claw was doing less than I expected. I followed that by going for extreme speed and leaving him on the red, but then his Ice Beam just one-shot Rayquaza. I thought that the solution would be to just go for extreme speed from the start, but that only left him on a sliver of HP. Okay, I know it looks bad, but there's an easy solution. I gave Rayquaza the Choice Band, and that allowed extreme speed to become an easy 2-hit KO. Last of the room was the mirror match against Rayquaza, and I outsped him and out-called him with Ice Beam. Well, that wasn't anticlimactic. However, before ending the run, I wasn't done yet. See, the fight against the Otsis gave me the idea of trying the Choice Banded Extreme Speed against the Lati twins. I tried it against Latios, and the move was doing about half of his HP. I said that I wasn't going to try for a crit with the Quick Claw, but if it's just a crit chance, then I could accept trying to get that. Unfortunately, it takes me until almost 100 restarts to get that crit, but at least it was enough damage to get the one shot. I then tried the same against Larias, but I could tell that it wasn't going to be enough, even with the crit, meaning that she was the only Pokemon that Rayquaza had nothing against. No attack that could overpower her, no item that could give me a way out, nothing. So, can Rayquaza beat all 202 Pokemon in Emerald with their competitive moveset? He gets really close, but unfortunately, no. The only one he didn't manage to defeat was Larias. And if you don't want to count the crit against Larios, then him as well. I went into this challenge expecting that, as a Potsar legendary, Rayquaza was going to have an easy time and not even care about the 4x Ice weakness. But as you saw from his matchup against Pokemon like Illumise and Spheal, the Ice weakness is very much real. Now, it's not like I'm saying that makes Rayquaza a garbage Pokemon that no one should use, not at all, as his massive attack stat made him able to easily brute force through most fights, and his diverse coverage options made him have always a super effective move against anyone. He's a really strong Pokemon, but just be careful about the Ice weakness. But anyways, did I miss anything on the video? If you think so, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.